What's up? This is Happy Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I'm very excited about my next guest. From the nationally syndicated Greg in the Morning Buzz, Greg is on Happy Hour with Ryan Hoppe. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
I'm doing good. So I've known about your show for a while. I'll see the Morning Mouth talk about all the, and like sites like Radio Insight talk about all the money you guys do for charity. And I've seen your name
Yeah.
over the years. And about 6, 7 months ago, I began listening. And to me, you guys are one of the last really good remaining morning shows with like original live content. So I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you. That's really nice of you to say. I appreciate it.
So, how long have you been in radio?
Geez, you don't want to know. Let me ask you this:
Yeah,
How old are you?
31.
Yeah, I've been longer than you. You've been alive.
Oh my goodness.
So I started at HEB in Portsmouth back in 1980,
Yeah.
84, and I started doing mornings I think in '87. So it's been a minute, so to speak.
How many different stations have you been at? The one that you're currently at, is that the one you've been at the whole time, or have you been at different ones?
So I started in Portsmouth, and I've been on in Portsmouth ever since. So that was where I started. That's what I consider the home base for me.
Yeah.
But now we're on GIR in Manchester. We're on the Hawk and the Lakes region. We go up throughout Vermont all the way to Burlington. We're on the Frank Network. We're on Rock 101 in Manchester and Q 106 in Lebanon and 101.9 and 100.7 the Peak in Keene. So I think it's seven six is what we're on right now. So yeah.
Is it different when you do a local show compared to doing like kind of like a regional and national show? Like, do you ever feel like there's certain topics that you can't talk about because one market might not get it?
No, I don't. And I think part of the reason is, Ryan, is because, I mean, I've been in New England my whole life, so I really don't have anything else to compare it to.
Yeah.
But I know New England, and New England's one of those areas of the country, and I'm sure there are others as well, that is very I don't know, colloquial is the word, but I consider it one big unit. Like when we first started, and the talk at first was for us to go on HEB in Portsmouth and 101 in Manchester. I knew that I always wanted to do a giant regional show and do a regional show like it was a local show. So we're on in Burlington. So if somebody calls in from Burlington, I could say, "Oh, dude, I was in Plattsburgh the other day." Like I know the whole area. So to me, it is local, And as time went along, I think radio grew into what I was hoping it would. I didn't know that, of course, but I kind of always thought that a regional show in New England would work because everybody in New England understands New England. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think you guys do a good job of making it so that, like me, I've grown up in Chicago and I've lived in Tampa for 10 years. Sometimes I don't get what you're talking about, but you guys do a
Right.
good job of kind of explaining it for people that are maybe listening to the pod.
Yeah, it's one of those things too with streaming. I mean, we get calls every day, like Texas, South Carolina. I mean, it's for a guy like me that's older and has been doing it a long time, that grew up, on a radio station that reached maybe 50 miles, right? And you had to consider that your target. The target is greatly expanded because now you've got people listening from everywhere. So when you do something that is, extremely local, I don't think the locals mind if you go, "Hey, what this is, that's a certain kind of place that does this," and kind of explain it to give them a little bit, to include them, because you try to include everybody that's listening in the audience on what you're talking about. You don't want to be, you know, talking over their head or on their head or whatever.
How long have you worked with your current crew?
I think the newest member of my team has been with us for 17 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how did you hire each person?
It was basically I, one of the things I've learned, about radio is we all have consultants. I'm sure you've talked to consultants, everybody that's worked in radio works with consultants, but I think sometimes we think way too much about things that should be relatively simple. I want to do a show where no, it's good, it's good. My dog just jumped on my lap.
You're good.
I want to do a show where we're all friends. I want to do a show where I pick the people based upon, can they sit with me and just chat like I'm a stranger when I first meet them, right? And can you sit and maintain a conversation with a stranger? That's what anybody doing radio is doing, and don't overcomplicate it, with all of these, well, this target demo, blah, blah, blah. Are they a good person? Can you have fun with them? Do you get along with them? Are they nice? Because I don't do egos. None of us, we don't do that. We're very close. And I chose each person based on what they could add to the show that I didn't already have.
Yeah.
Whether it be a sarcastic personality, whether it be a really, really kind, person, a woman with a mom's perspective, a younger woman, or my news guy who's kind of a gambling guy. I look for different interests that I would be interested in talking to, and kind of making it, there's a lot of different perspectives on the show, and that's what I think makes it work. At least that's what I hope makes it work.
Yeah, I definitely pick up on the lack of ego because I've worked with egos, and there's nothing worse than like you have to go to bed early and then you have to get up early, and there's nothing worse than like being ripped from the peace known as sleep at 4 a.m. to work with someone who's difficult to work with. It's one of the saddest things ever because like you're getting in and you're scanning your badge and you're like, what mood is that person going to be in? It's some of the most toxic things you can do in life.
I've learned, I've learned, I think when I was younger, I was a little bit more, it wasn't about ego. I was a little bit more uptight, nervous, you know what I mean? Trying to please what, the bosses wanted and all that kind of stuff. And then the more I kind of let go of that and sort of just went with what felt good in my gut, the better we did. And when I picked everybody that's on the show, and when I say like we actually are like a family, that's not a BS line. That's actually really how it is. We've been through a lot together. We've lost a team member that was on our show for a long time, and we dealt with the grief and we've been through family trials and tribulations and divorces, and we stick together through that. But when we first start out, I say, look, I'm not a jerk. And I don't want to deal with a jerk on the show. Like, I will take a bullet for you, if I feel like, if you're coming to the table, I will take a bullet for you. And in turn, we need to stick together. We're stronger together as a group than any one of us are on our own. And that's kind of the mentality of the show. And that we all have it. I didn't have to convince anybody. Everybody was on board, and it's just worked for a while.
Now, when you hired each person on the show, did you put things out in the trades, or was there like somebody you met at like a bar and you were like, oh, they'd be good on air?
It was one of them was internal. The Roadkill was internal. Kelly Brown came from another radio station. Kayla was an intern. And Laura, we were doing a search, and Laura came in, and I sat and talked with each one of them and had great conversations with them, and and one at a time the show just kind of grew. But we did do some national searches. We did a lot of interviews, and it's a peculiar thing when you're looking to hire somebody to fill a position, because you never know if what they're telling you is what they think you want to hear.
Yeah.
Or it's really what they are, and the people that we worked with that have been on the show were very real. No pretense, no attitude, no, I worked in this market, because that wasn't what I was looking for,
Now, is everyone from your show from New England, or is one of them transplants?
Everybody is actually from New England.
Oh, perfect.
Which is kind of it worked out. I picked, like, Laura had almost zero radio experience. Kayla had zero radio experience. Roadkill had zero radio experience. Kelly did news and worked an overnight shift at a station in Maine. And that gets back to what I was saying about don't overcomplicate it. I want people that are interesting and fun. And radio is a learned art. It just takes time to be. You're put in a room with a bunch of strangers,
Yeah.
and you have to learn to trust each other. You have to learn how to, shoot the bull, and you have to learn how to know how to take a joke, certainly. And that's what I was looking for. And I didn't need someone who had been to 50 markets. I would have taken someone who had been to 50 markets, but I just didn't meet anybody that felt like they were right for the position for that reason.
And I think,
you know what I mean?
When I listen, it sounds like even if people bust balls, it doesn't sound mean. Because you'll listen to, like, let's say, and I don't want to throw people under the bus, but let's say Howard Stern. You'll hear him pick on Ronnie the limo driver, and sometimes Ronnie sounds legitimately mad. And it's like, it's not fun to listen to when people get mean. So, like, whenever you guys bust balls, it's like, it never feels like the person's like throwing a chair during let's say a break or whatever.
Right. There's no temper tantrums and things like that. But I'd be lying if I said that sometimes feathers didn't get ruffled, including my own. Because, when you're busting balls and you're throwing it around and it's funny, right? As long as it's funny, it's cool. I know it's not coming from a mean place, and they know it's not coming from a mean place. But there are times when one of us has just had enough, and recognizing that, that when you hit that point, everybody kind of knows when to back off. But getting to that point, you can see it. It's happened to me where I'm like, I can't, guys. And I'll just admit it, because we don't try to pretend. We don't try to hide it. I just say, guys, I'm done. I'm out. I can't. I've had enough. Somebody told me a long time ago, you get the audience that you get what you put out. Meaning, if we were a mean show, Ryan, right? If we were mean to everybody and callers, and we were more about being wise asses and being jerks, aggressive, then that's what you get for a listener. You get that for a listener, and that I had no interest in that. We one of our competitors was an aggressive kind of station for a long period of time, and they came after us on the air, trying to bait us into getting them to call and talk about it. And I'm like, Jesus, you're in Boston. What are you even talking about us for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just kind of funny. But they get listeners that were aggressive, and I didn't want to be like that. So I just kind of went with my gut and went with what felt like it was right.
One of the first shows I ever heard was when they were syndicated in Chicago about 20 years ago, Opie and Anthony. And I admired them in high school. Like when I was a loner, I listened to them in the library, on the computer, and then dealing with them and like interviewing one of them and just sending DMs to them and then seeing how their fans treat them now. To me, guys like Opie and Anthony and even Howard, during that whole era of being mean, it feels like now, because we know a lot more about people. It's not good to go on Reddit, but if you go on their show's Reddit, everybody has flip-flopped on them. And to me, that's the thing of what you put out, you get. What you reap, you sow.
I think it's accurate. I will say though, O&A, we have, they would pick shows around the country and they play them on the air.
Yeah,
and
bash
the hell out of them. Yeah, and they did that to us, except they didn't bash us. They did. It was exactly the opposite, because I got calls. Immediately we started getting calls. O&A are playing clips back of your show and they're talking about you guys, and I'm like, hey, so be it. We'll take the hit. If I get it. I'm not upset by it. And they were actually really kind, because we were pretending to be something that we weren't. And I think they recognized that, but yeah, they were really nice. So
yeah,
I know they had a rough go, and I know their fans were up and down, but I get what you're saying about, again, you get what you put out, it'll come back to you.
Did you guys ever have any like controversy or FCC fines back in the day?
I haven't had any FCC fines. Did get in trouble a couple of times with law enforcement. We did during the stunting era, we did a million stunts. You know, and we sent our stunt guy out to repo a car, and what he didn't know is that we had rigged it so that the owner of the car was going to come out screaming at the guy, and freaking him out. And the guy that the repo man, the official repo man, gave the guy the wrong key for the car, so it was never going to start. Well, the guy in the house decided to take it upon himself to up the ante of the realism, and without me knowing it, or any of us knowing it, came out with a shotgun and touched off a round. So
Oh my
that
God.
that didn't go well. I mean, nobody was hurt and everything like that, but they were taken into the jail in my hometown, nonetheless.
How
But
often, how often do you get recognized out and about?
I mean, it was for a long period of time doing this. There was no internet, so it was it was random. But I've been doing it a long time now. We've done some TV work, and the internet makes it kind of hard to avoid. So it happens. It happens. It happens.
You know what's funny for me? It's never when I'm dressed up nice. It's never when I'm wearing a nice outfit and I'm going to a bar. It's always when it's like 2 a.m. and I'm going to 7-Eleven and I'm buying Gatorade and like two people will know who I am. Dude, the other day I was recognized, I forget where it was, but here's what it was. I went and I had Mexican food with my girl, and queso was on my shirt, like barely, but just like
Of course it was.
like
Of course it was.
just a tad bit. And I'm wearing a red shirt, so you see like the mark. And I go to this bar, and there's like two people that are like, "Is your name Ryan?" And I'm like, "Of course." It's not when I'm wearing a nice suit. It's when like I'm self-conscious about this queso stain.
Right. Yeah.
The
It
worst.
happens. It happens. And you know what? The way I look at it is shit happens. You know, it's just kind of one of those things. And part of what we do on the air is just being like normal people talking about normal things like Kelly's poop problem or whatever. Nothing gross, but people treat us like regular people, that's what we are. I'm a Somersworth, New Hampshire guy. So people see me in Walmart, we sit, we chat a little bit, say hi. I mean, those are your people, so they're part of our family. It's kind of like an extended family kind of thing. That's how we talk about our audience.
Now, what do you think about the Radio Hall of Fame?
Well, I think about it. I mean, I don't. I mean, really. I mean, I know some people that are in it. The Country Music Hall of Fame. I got a friend that's in it. I think it's pretty neat. But it's kind of one of those things you think about for other people, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like if you really want to be in it, you're not going to get in it. You know what I mean?
I don't think about it. Like, that's another thing too, is one of the things that they're always like, well, the NHAB has these awards, you got to submit to them. And I've always kind of felt weird about that. And I'm not saying anything bad about anybody who does, because I get it. But I always thought if you're going to win an award, you shouldn't have to apply for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel weird applying to win an award, so I don't, because I'm not in it for that. I mean, they're great. If you get it, hey, great, awesome. But it's not something that I chase or worry about.
Yeah. I even feel weird. In Tampa, we have this thing called Best of the Bay. The Creative Loafing does like something where you have to campaign. And I like being on the list, and I've been on it like 8 of the 10 years, but I like being on the list because your name gets out there. But it is kind of like almost a little embarrassing, like making a ChatGPT graphic or messaging people like, hey, can you vote for me? Because the 2 years I didn't do that, I didn't make it on. So you got to kind of campaign, but then it feels kind of douchey. Like, hey, can you vote for me? But then I also think about it, Greg. I'm like, people that run for president have to campaign. So that's what I try to tell myself to feel better about it.
That's true. I mean, but I just feel like the best reward for me is, I mean, it's not just the ratings, right? Because obviously, we've done, knock on wood, well so far with ratings. I'm the guy that's always expecting the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
So I've always got that nervousness. I don't coast. That's one of the things I'm most terrified about is failure. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, I feel like the best reward for me is when somebody does come up to you. Whether it's at a restaurant or a bar or a grocery store and say, "Hey, you really helped me through a time I didn't think I was going to make it through." I mean, you made me smile on a day when I didn't think I couldn't. I'll take that. I'll take that over a magazine award or something any day. And I know that sounds like cheesy and like that I'd be making that up, but I swear I'm not. I really, that's what I do it for. I do it for the connection with the audience, and everything else just comes along if it comes along.
I don't know
That's my thing.
if you have this, but I could never do like stand-up comedy or performances because like I could talk to a million people, but being in front of people, like if I get recognized, people are like, "You are so different off air." I'm so shy. Like I'll have friends that go, "Oh, he does radio," and they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And dude, I have this weird thing. When I was in my 20s, I think it's because I used to drink a lot. I think when I drank a lot, I liked name dropping more. But now that I don't really drink as much, I have this thing that if I go in and I don't meet any listeners, I'm almost happier. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't mind talking in front of people. Crowds don't. We do shows, like a Christmas show that has comedians, and we do skits and sing and stuff like that. So I'm used to that. Nothing like that bothers me because I figured, what do I got? I lived it all out on the air. I got nothing to hide. You know what I mean? Lifts it up. I'm showing my belly or stuff like that. Doesn't bother me. If it gets a laugh, I think it's a win. But I don't worry about that kind of stuff. And I think everybody on the show, like Roadkill, was like you. Roadkill, very shy in the beginning, and he probably has the sharpest wit of anybody on radio. Period. Full stop. I don't think anybody has a wit as sharp and as fast as his.
Yeah.
He will cut you in half. You won't even know it. You'll be walking away and you'll be like, "Holy crap! I just got cut in half by the master." But he was very shy. He was afraid to say anything. And I said, "Look, I got you. I'm not going to let you. Just trust me. Come along with me. Act with me like you do in the hallway, minus the swearing.
Yeah.
And trust me, you'll be fine." And that's how you get the best from somebody. They've got to be able to trust you. And we've always done everything as a unit. Every contract that we've done, it's been all or none. The whole way. We go as a team, period. It's never been any different.
Well, that's what you got to do now, because if you sign a different deal, they might let you go separately. I've seen.
Yeah, but look, I know iHeart is the big one everybody likes to pick on, but I got to be honest with you, they've been really good to us. They've taken good care of us. And, in the beginning, when I said everybody signs and then me, I said, that's how we're going to do it. And we've had a great relationship with the company. They've taken very good care of us. But they also knew that I was serious. You know what I mean? I wasn't a guy. I'm not going to BS. I'm not going to be a jerk about anything. I'm going to be honest, and I expect you to be honest with me. If you mess with me, then, that's a whole different story. And they haven't. So it was one of those things where that if you're in a team and you sign first, they go, "Well, we've got some budget cuts, so two of the others have to go." No, that's not going to happen, because I would have said, "All right, I guess I got to be one of them," because that's not how I want to do it. They ask you to build something, you built it, it's working, and I've never had a problem with iHeart in that regard. They've been very, very good to us. So I know some people have had their problems with them, and I get it. I can see it, but I'm just not one of them.
Now, before I let you go, could I get you to record a liner for me?
Sure.
It would be, "Hey, this is Greg from Greg in the Morning Buzz, and you're listening to Hoppy Hour with Ryan Hoppe."
Sure. Hey, it's Greg up here in New England from Greg in the Morning Buzz, and you're listening to the Hoppy Hour with Ryan Hoppe.
Perfect, Greg. Now, before I let you go, for people that are listening to my show that haven't heard your show, how can they find it?
Morningbuzz.com is the website. We're on iHeartRadio. You can look up Greg in the Morning Buzz. That's Greg and the Morning Buzz. And you can also look up Greg and the Morning Buzz on demand. We do an exclusive off-air podcast that is a little freer and looser than what we can do on terrestrial radio. But yeah, so you can check us out there and listen to the podcast or stream us wherever you may be listening. So there you go.
Well, Greg, It's been a lot of fun having you on the show. I actually had to Google your email because I was trying to figure out what your email would be. And then when you got back to me, I was in kind of a bad mood, and it really made my day. So this has been a lot of fun having you on the show.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for your support, Ryan. And hopefully I get to shake your hand, maybe buy a drink or a soda if you don't drink anymore. Whatever. Someday we'll meet, hopefully.
If you're ever in Tampa Bay, let me know, bro.
I will. All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Greg. All right, bye.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Now, if you're listening and you've never heard my show before, my name's Ryan Hoppe, and I am the host of this singular morning zoo. I have two versions. One where I interview radio hosts and comedians and rappers. I've had over 370 guests. And one where it's kind of like a crazy show where I talk about celebrity news and more. You can listen on this podcast feed or by searching HOPPE Radio. This has been Hoppe Hour. Goodbye. Goodbye.